welcome to the Nurse Boss Shift. It's your girl, Christal P, the Hormone MP. And today I am doing the episode by myself. Dr. Jones is traveling, so we wish her um, traveling grace, and also while she's traveling, learning something new, of course, as always. So um we wanted to bring on our guest today, Miss Megan Walsh, and she is going to tell us how she took her business doing her an Etsy store, which I know a lot of people are creatives, a lot of nurses, I should say, are creatives and always wondering, should I take this talent that I have and turn it into something else? And the answer is yes. So I'll go ahead into read a little bit about Megan. So Megan Walsh is a New Jersey-based nurse and creator behind the successful Etsy shop Megan's Menagerie. I love that name. What began as a 2 a.m. stress outlet during the pandemic has turned into a $9,800 a month and growing side hustle selling handmade eucalyptus and floral wall decor. Megan's journey shows how grief, creativity, and courage can spark entrepreneurial freedom. So welcome, Megan, to the Nurse Boss Shift. Welcome.
Thank you so much. I'm so excited to be here.
Yes, absolutely. So we definitely want to hear about your journey. So we will start first with give us a little bit of background about your nursing background and how long you've been a nurse, what type of nurse, and then kind of lead us into if you had like a burnout moment or kind of what inspired you to start your own business.
Okay, so I have been a nurse. It will be 10 years actually on Monday, so I'm really excited about that. I started as a float nurse, and I did that for 5 years. Tried to find a home, see what I kind of liked. Went everywhere. So med surge, telemetry, ICU, maternity. ICU I really liked, but I just was still a little like, I don't know if I want to do it all the time.
Right.
So I found a temporary position in our hospital here for a outpatient endoscopy area,
Okay.
and that has where my home has been for 5 years now, and it's like amazing. Like I love my job so much.
Yeah.
So that is my home for the past 5 years.
And I think that's
Um,
something to say about, because we always kind of talk about like the burnout and all those things, but there are some areas in nursing that you can absolutely love. And you said you're doing kind of like endoscopy. I did cath lab, and I always say I love that. It's kind of
okay,
like you take
yes.
the patient in, you work them up, you create this bond. Like the hardest part is just kind of calming them down, and then they go about their day, but it's not as stressful as the ER was. So it sounds like you found a nice comfy spot of nursing. So
Yes, it is. It's really, really nice. I love it. And you can like focus, like, floating and bedside nursing on the floors is so tough. And I always explain to new people how it's like having a towel on fire behind you. No matter how fast you're trying to put those fires out that you could see, you're dragging that towel behind you and it's like
yeah,
nonstop. It's just like crazy. So even though we do have our tough days in our unit, it's still not as bad as like your hardest day on those floors. And I always keep that in perspective on those hard days.
yes, absolutely. So tell us how. Okay, so you were a nurse for 5 years, and then you found your sweet spot. So what in that, or how did Megan's Menagerie get started for you?
So I actually started my business before I even started nursing
Okay.
as an outlet when I first started nursing school.
Okay.
Um, I wanted something like I've always been really creative. I love putting things together. I love working with my hands. That's like my anxiety outlet. So I started it in 2009 while I was getting through school, which was really tough because nursing school is a grind and it's nonstop. And I had a daughter who was little, and I didn't really have a lot of time. So any time I did have to just like try to wind down at night, I would like crochet or do those things. And I had a family member who introduced me to Etsy, and she was like, you should check out this website because it's not like eBay or, it's like legit handmade. We focus on like, legit handmade items. And it was amazing. And I fell in love with it. And I could meet all these different sellers who, hand make all these different things, and to have that kind of common need to make and create and share with the world was like, it was so exciting to me.
Yeah. How were you
So
selling your items before you got on Etsy?
I wasn't, people would be like, oh, you should try to go to this, like, like the markets or fairs, things like that. But I don't know. I kind of like kept it more towards if a family or friend wanted something. And I would be like, well, I don't know. I mean, I haven't done that. So
Yeah.
just because I'm a creator doesn't mean I can make
Make
everything. But I
anything,
would
right,
always
right.
try,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
and if I couldn't, I couldn't. But, so it was like crocheting. It was like some jewelry I would like play around with. And that's what I kind of did for a good part of that. And then, I don't know if you want to go into when it blew up
Yeah,
for
yeah. So
me.
so you were kind of doing things creatively on your own. A cousin you said told you about Etsy, and then you're like, okay, let me see if I can throw some things up there and kind of see what happens, I imagine. And then also I like that you spoke to people would ask you to make different things because we always say you kind of you just start, right? And then your clientele will kind of tell you or say, hey, do you do this? And then it's up to you to say, yeah, I could try that, or no, it's not something that I want to do. But you always kind of just start, and then you kind of let the your clients speak for it. So yes, please tell me how you put your stuff on Etsy, and then what was the big blow up.
Right. So I was crocheting. I did a lot of that. And you have to remember too, for the people, this will be really important, how different it was for me when I started Etsy in 2009 versus, it's 2025, right? So uh, it's really evolved. It's
Mm-hmm.
huge now. When I started, it wasn't as big.
Yeah.
So saturation is a big thing too. So you really have to like find your niche. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so we can get into that too. But
Yeah. Yep.
I did put like some crocheted items up and like scarves and things. And I remember getting my first sale and I was like, what?
Yep.
Like
Yeah.
it was like the best feeling I've like
Right.
ever had, that somebody I don't know paid money to let me make something for them. I will
Yes.
never forget it. It was like the coolest feeling. And that was all it took for me to
Mm-hmm.
start to really focus and like really try with it, you know? And that's what I did. And then I would sell another one and then I would sell another one. And it was like really nice, for a
Yeah.
while. But that's another thing, like, it kind of ebbs and flows and
Yeah.
things go into style and things come out of style. So you have to be kind of willing to change things here and there. And, it's hard, but
Yeah. You're
I don't
doing it.
know.
You're doing it.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
doing it.
so what I know there was a period of COVID that kind of sparked
Yes.
that. So what was that?
I had a lot of anxiety, dealing with a lot of those things. And that's when I started kind of thinking about, you know, what my business is today. That's how this whole thing started. My dad was like a master gardener. So, he taught me a lot about plants and things like that. And so when I started this Etsy, like this part of my Etsy business, I was, just really super anxious. COVID hit. It was like crazy. A lot of anxiety, a lot of tension, the fear of the unknown, dealing with like the sickest of the sick, families, your own family, everybody's isolated. I had 3 children now at this point, so school was crazy. It was just really heightened anxiety. And I turned to these plants like eucalyptus, lavender, things that would be aromatic and, a feel of calm to try to help get through that, because
Yeah.
we're kind of stuck in it. There's nothing we can do but get through it.
Right.
So working with them just became this like huge sense of relief for me. Because
Yeah.
here I am making, but I'm making with those things. So it was like really nice. Like my house
Yeah.
smells amazing.
Yeah. I bet. I
Yeah.
bet. Yeah.
And that's what I did. I put them up. I was like, I'm going to try to see if anybody else, would want these. And I remember I was in my backyard and I had the Etsy app on my phone now, which is, I didn't always have, that wasn't always a thing.
Mhm.
And now it's like a thing. So I had that on and you can hear the register go off. So I was like, oh, I just got a sale. I was so excited. And then about 45 minutes later, it was like another sale. And then 15 minutes later, another sale. And it was like, oh my gosh. And then it just like, really took off. And it
Yeah.
was something I didn't expect. And I wasn't like trying to make it into what it is today. That's another thing. Like,
Mhm.
it's not like I set on like solely having this as an income or doing that. I just was like
Yeah.
letting it roll. And that's how it is.
Yeah.
It's just like let it roll and let's see what happens. Don't get
Yeah.
too stressed out on that one thing or you're gonna like make yourself go crazy, you know?
Yes. Yes. So I love hearing about you making this pivot because in my business, so I own a med spa and I started off doing IV hydration, then got into Botox and fillers, but it just never hit how I wanted it to with the Botox and fillers. And then through my own personal journey of finding hormone replacements and finding something that healed me, much like the healing journey you went on with, working with plants, working with aromatic plants and doing something creative that, after you got so much benefit out of it, then you just want to share it with the world. And that's the same thing
Yes.
when I healed myself through hormone therapy. It's like I have to share this with the world. And then it makes such a better experience, and probably from you too, going from just the creative of like crocheting, something you like to do, but now something that's like creative and healing for you. It's so much more of a personal journey that you're, able and willing to share, to so many people. So I love how you weren't afraid also to make that pivot, that you were. And with these florals, was it a lot of competition at the time on Etsy when you first put them out there?
No, I mean, there's people out there, and that's another thing. You'll see them come out and they'll straight up copy your design.
Mm.
They will steal photos. I've had numerous amount of people just blatantly steal my photo, copy my whole description because it's something that I set and I'm really, it's handmade here at the Jersey Shore. And I'll be like,
Yeah.
oh wow, yours is handmade there at the Jersey
Right.
Shore. Where are you at? Because
Right. Right. Right.
come on. Like it is frustrating. It's like
Yeah.
I have pictures of even my daughter when she was little. She's 20 now, but like the crocheted hats. She was young. She was probably like 7, and those are still up. So it's really funny to have her up there. And now she's like a grown person.
Yeah.
But they would just steal her pictures, and I'm like, that's my kid. Like,
Right.
no, don't do
Right.
that.
Right.
Don't do that.
This isn't a
But
stock image.
yeah, like so it wasn't a lot of competition out there. No.
Not so much. And how did you go about, like, did you even have to market, or is that something that Etsy kind of handles, or just based on keywords and things like that? How do you like market?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just their, I guess, algorithm. It's their tag words. It's learning how to use those things correctly, like titles, because, those things matter. Also, like your searches, they want to make sure that you have good reviews and, good communication with your customers and fast shipping. All those things factor into that.
Yeah. And then as far as your shop now, and I know reading your history in your bio that, because we usually ask if you're okay with talking about numbers, but since it was in your bio, I assume that you
Yeah.
are.
Yeah.
So you are essentially making, and I saw where you're not, or are you currently working full time, or is that something you have to do, or were you able to scale back working, or you do now just work as much as you want based on your Etsy store? Because that is our goal. Not everyone is meant to be an entrepreneur, and sometimes we put things up and like you, it happens to blow up, but that's not necessarily what we seek to go for. But I we always try to preach at least having an outlet or something else you can either, by opening a business, starting a small business, or just investing your money as a way so that you're not reliant on the hospital, especially when nurses are working bedside and they're working in these hard departments that just suck the life out of us. But the beauty of having
Yes.
something on your own on the side, to where you can say, I don't want to take that overtime shift today. Like, I want to hang out with my kids. So how has that been? And are you currently working full time? And what was that process of like seeing that you're bringing in enough money to be able to scale back?
Right. So I work part-time right now, but it's the hospital, so you can work
Mhm.
as much as you want. There's
Yes.
never, not
Yep.
enough
That's the
hours
beauty of it. Right.
to get. So I have that nice balance where I'm part-time, and if I want to work more, I can, and if I don't, I don't have to. I
Yes.
still get benefits. I still get PTO, which is great.
Mhm.
You know, so what happens is it's like an ebb and flow for me, I feel just personally.
Mhm.
Some weeks where I'm like, Etsy's really, really good, maybe I could say, well, if I made this much and, it's doing really well for a while, I don't have to pick up a lot of extra shifts.
Yeah.
And then, that's it. It's a good balance. I'm literally 24 hours for
Wow.
the week. And
Yeah.
we do call, but it's not bad. And I'm in walking distance to my hospital, so I do walk,
Beautiful.
which is really, really nice. Like today
Yeah.
was
I know it's
fantastic.
beautiful
And
out there.
yeah, so it's really, really nice to have that balance of like, all right, if maybe this week wasn't great and I'll go pick up an extra shift, I'm not going to like stress because I know it's there. I can do it one way or the other.
Right. Yep.
Coincidentally, this is crazy, but I am a union hospital.
Okay.
And our union is going on strike Monday.
Oh, uh-oh.
Yes. So this means we do not get paid.
Yes. Wow. And but you have your Etsy shop to rely on.
I have my Etsy shop, right? So it's really crazy. It's a really stressful time right now watching a lot of
Yeah.
people, who
Don't have that.
don't have something to fall back
Mhm.
on. Those who have a spouse or they can get on, benefits through them. It's crazy though. I've never gone through anything like this. So I was just like, wow, like thank goodness I have this because I don't know what people would do,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know?
Yeah, it's definitely a struggle, and that's why we're trying to teach financial independence, especially for nurses, because we kind of get used to it. That, like you said, the hospital money's not always going to be there. The shifts are going to be there, but when things start to hit the fan, then things are not there as we thought, and it's not easy to just if you don't have anything established, it's not easy to just go find another stream of income. But when
Right.
you plan those things and have those things, investments or otherwise, then you have something to fall back on. And I think that's the beauty. And I thank you for saying that, because that's absolutely what we're trying to stress on this podcast, just having something else. So when things dry up, when they treat us bad, like COVID, like they did during COVID, dangling all this money, and then now they've taken it away and then putting our, health and life at risk, we don't have, we should be able to have options to where we don't have to do that. So I
Right.
love that you have that, and that you're in real time kind of seeing how beneficial it is having something else on the side.
Yes. I was just like, wow. And it's my 10-year anniversary. We might be on strike. I'm like, I'm just gonna roll. Like, what are you gonna do? We're fighting
Yeah.
for, safe patient nurse ratios and
Mhm.
fair wages.
I'm gonna be out there
I'm gonna be out
picketing,
there
and but
picketing
then I'm gonna
and,
come home
but then I'm
and
gonna
I'm
come
gonna
home
start
and
working
I'm
on my
gonna start
orders,
working on my
and thank
orders
God that I
and thank
have
God that I have
that in my life
that in
at
my
this point,
life at this point,
So as far as your business, where
So,
do most of your
yeah.
referral is it mainly like new people seeing you, fresh eyes seeing you, or do you have a lot of repeat customers or word of mouth?
A lot of new customers. I do have
Okay.
repeats. So, because the florals last, they'll last you years.
Mhm.
The scent will last like weeks, and a lot of people love the scent, so they'll like come
Right.
back after like a couple months and like grab
Yeah.
another one because that scent will like dissipate after a while.
Mhm.
So, I do. I have like a good amount of repeat customers, but the majority is all new and it's all through Etsy. And I think having had my Etsy shop for so long, like I said in the
Mhm.
beginning, has been beneficial for me because I feel like I've been an established shop for so
Yeah.
many years where
Right.
I feel like the people who are just starting are going to have a really hard time. Like you really have to advertise, you really have to get it out there because
Mhm.
it's so big
Yeah.
now,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. It
Yeah.
absolutely is. And explain exactly, because I saw them, and actually I have been wanting to get one of what you sell, so I'll definitely have to check out your shop. But for those listening or watching on YouTube, explain exactly what it is that you make now with the aromatic florals, and explain what that is.
Yep. So I make a eucalyptus or eucalyptus lavender wall hangings. So they can go on a like dowel, which is either stained or it's like a beautiful natural wood, all natural wood. You could choose option to have like eucalyptus, or you could do eucalyptus and lavender because some people don't, care for the lavender, but I
Me too.
so you can hang them on your wall space. A lot of people choose to put them in their bedroom, an office space at work, things like that. So it's like a really nice hint that you get while you're sitting there, just like calm. That's how I explain it. It
Yeah.
just smells like calm. It's so refreshing. And it's really beautiful to look at too. So you have like
Mhm.
two things going for you there. I also do florals, like actual florals.
Okay.
Everything is like preserved or dried. So they will last years. It's not something, like I said, the scent won't be there after like a couple weeks or like maybe a month or two, but you could still have it on your wall to look at. It's very nice to look at. And that will last years. Florals too, anything dried, preserved. I offer them on birch branches and logs too, if you like that look. So there's some different options there.
Yeah. I'm gonna get one for the spa here. I think that would smell
Yes.
amazing in the room. Yeah. Yeah. So fun. Okay, so for that nurse who may be listening, or someone else who is listening, and they have a something creative that they love to work on, just as you, but been thinking about maybe putting it on Etsy or selling it, but afraid of what if nobody buys it. What advice would you have for that person?
So that was me. I was very like, okay, I'll just see. Like, it can't hurt, right? You're never going to look back and say, oh, I regret doing that, because if you don't at least try it, you're never going to know. So you need
Yeah.
to just do it. And it might take a while, but it's all in like, go out there on Etsy if you're looking for, to go on that website. There's forums that are super helpful. A lot of information out there for you to look at as far as, what to do for tags and titles and how, you try to get yourself seen. It's persistence. It's a lot of hard work. But you have to just do it. You just be like, all right, I'm going to do it, because
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to know,
Yes,
you know?
yes, yes. I love that. Bite. You just have to start,
Yeah.
which is something we say all the
Right. You
time.
just have to start, and it may not work. And then you know what? So it doesn't work and you try something else. Like I said, I went from yarn to jewelry to plants. I mean, there's nothing in common in any of
Right,
that. So
right.
that's what I mean. Just
Yes,
try, just start somewhere, and see
just
where it
start.
takes you. Something might hit you in the
Absolutely.
middle of the night and you're like, oh, because again, that's what happened to me. It was like 2 o'clock in the morning. I was having like anxiety sitting around my room. And there it is.
And you just got started.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
Beautiful. Well, I'm going to ask you a
yep.
few what we call rapid fire questions. So you just answer the first thing that comes to mind. Okay. So, what is your
Okay.
favorite self care practice?
Reading.
Reading. Love it.
Yep. I'm a
And
reader.
your reader? I love reading too. I love reading too. It's so relaxing. What is one product that you can't live without in your workspace?
This is really funny. It has nothing to actually do with the work I'm doing, but it's like my heated blanket. I like
Okay.
sit
Yeah.
with it around my body.
Yes.
Yeah.
For someone who's always cold, I can always appreciate a warm blanket
Yes.
for sure. And then lastly, are you a morning person or a night owl? And this is specifically for like your creative flow. It sounds like maybe like mid morning or night, but what would you say for your creativity?
Definitely morning. I'm a
Morning.
morning
Okay.
person. I
Okay.
can't keep my eyes open past like 9 o'clock
Okay.
because
Okay.
I think it's just my body's natural rhythm to get up
Yeah.
and like start going.
Yeah. So you're a
So
morning person. Okay.
yeah, I like
Okay.
to
Love
work
it.
in the morning, get it done, and then have some of the rest of my day to like do
Work.
other things. I garden too, so you could see my beginnings
Oh,
back here.
wow.
I
I
have
love that. You're so
I
creative.
have a daughter and two sons, and my middle son, who's in middle school, has it's funny, like takes after my father. He does garden club at school and stuff.
Okay,
So
okay.
we're out here planting and growing our own veggies and stuff. It's really,
Yes,
really
yes.
therapeutic.
That's my dream is to one day have my garden with fresh vegetables that I could grow on my own. So
Yes, it's and there's nothing like it. Like you won't go to the
yeah,
store; it'll taste different.
yes. I know. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait. Um, it was so great getting to know you, Megan, and about your business. We're definitely going to tag it below where people can find you. But I wanted to ask any other advice for aspiring nurse entrepreneurs that, maybe stuck or burnt out and just not kind of knowing what to do, where to go, who to trust. Is there any advice that you can think of to give them?
I mean, just like I said, just go with your gut. Don't stress out on any one thing. If you have an idea in your head, like I said, just do it. Don't get too in your head about those things because you'll like drive yourself crazy and you'll never know. And it's just something, just throw it out there and see what happens. And like I said, there's so much information out there about like advice and how to do things and so just like go in and read. Yeah, that's what I got for you.
Yes, I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, Megan. Can you tell them where everyone can find you and your Etsy shop, and all those good details? We'll link them below, but just tell the people where they can find you or your
Yes.
social medias.
So I use Instagram and it's Megan's Menagerie on Instagram. Also, you could find me at www.megansmenagerie.etsy.com. And that's where you could find all my florals. You could send me messages, whatever you need. You could message me too if you have any questions specifically. I don't mind. I would love to answer those for you. So don't hesitate to reach out if you guys really want some advice or have any specific questions. I would love to do that for you.
Yes, and then if you start getting too many inquiries, Megan, then we're gonna have to start a coaching program for you to show to show nurses and people how to get their stuff on Etsy. So I'll let you get that business line. But thank you so much for being here,
Yes,
and
thank
as
you so
all.
much for
You're
having me.
so welcome. And as always, you guys know, please don't gatekeep. Send this to someone if you have a nurse bestie who is a creative and you keep telling them to put their stuff out on the shop. Send them this episode so they can hear and be inspired by Megan's journey and see how she just did it and it blew up for her. And now she has the option to work as many hours as she does or does not want to. So that is it for this edition of the Nurse Boss Shift. Please go ahead and comment, like we say, share, like, and subscribe. Until next time,